4,500 children die every day from a lack of access to clean water.
Only 19% of Nigeria's population have safe drinking water.
Humans can only survive about 3 to 4 days without water.
70% of human brain is made of water.
When I was 6 years old, sachet water got finished and my parents was not around. I personally drank the tap water and I had a severe stomach ache. Ever since then, I always wondered, why did this happen? Why can I not drink the water that comes out from my sink? I wanted to know. I wanted to find answers. So I did some research and went to talk to Honorable Remi Shitu, a council leader of S.E.A.L local government, Lagos, Nigeria. He told me that our water is not sustainable in our community and the infrastructure of our pipe were bad. Our drainage pipes mixed with our water pipes often and our water is not treated, which makes it not safe to drink, which means many people in our communities don't have access to clean water unless they purchase sachet or bottled water. And the Honorable said we cannot blame the government alone that individuals don't pay the little bills for water, so government stop supplying treated water.
Okay, well, it's so sad to see that lack of clean water, makes our children to be sick, like all the diseases just mentioned, diarrhea, stomach ache, vomiting, and all that. It's so sad, and like you said, what we just need to do as a government is to begin to look towards the direction of providing clean and adequate water for the people. Before now, when we were younger, talking about the 80s, we normally see clean water from the government around. Even in the 70s, in the 80s, clean water from government was available. All of a sudden it stopped. Maybe because every property began to put borehole in their various properties, and maybe because the response from the people in terms of payment of water rates was poor. Whatever the challenge is, I think we as a government, and particularly I as a lawmaker in the local government, should begin to look towards the direction of creating more bylaws to encourage production of clean water in the community.
It was all making sense now. All of the plastic pollution that I see is because of we are lacking access to clean water. Many Nigerians think the solution to getting clean water is bottled sachet water, but when I look around, I see that this creates another problem, a problem that pollutes our planet, a problem. Most of these plastics are found in our waterways, which blocks our drainage system and end up in our ocean. This can affect the living resources in the ocean. 100,000 of marine animals die annually because of litters thrown into our ocean, and this can contribute greatly to climate change. Sachet and plastic bottles is not a solution because it makes another problem and another problem. I can see now the dangerous cycle and effect of not having access to clean drinking water. The only solution I can think of is to encourage people in our communities to speak up and urge their government official to fix our infrastructure to hopefully allow people to have access to clean water, so we do not have to rely on the toxic container we call plastic, so that no one can ever get sick from drinking untreated sink water.
As more countries are becoming more developed, there are more sales of electronic devices. Increased sales results in increased wastage. Because more wastage would be created as more products are introduced and as technology grows, the waste increases rapidly. With newer products and appliances being introduced all the time, the old stuff gets thrown out and wasted. The pace of technological development. Year after year, technology keeps developing, offering new features. The need to keep up to date urges users to trash their fully functional electronic gadgets. Human mentality. As middle-class people get more money and begin buying more products, the mentality begins to change. When they have the money, they substitute older materials with newer ones, and the older materials are giving the label of e-waste. Population. Population is a cause of e-waste, because with more people in the world, more electronics will be bought, and therefore more will be thrown out.
Renee, and I'm the president and owner of S.E.A.L. Is to one, recycle the end-of-life stuff properly. That's number one. But two, we've got to design the way that we use electronics in a more efficient manner. And by that I mean creating things that don't harm wildlife, from where you get the raw materials, to the way we develop cell phones themselves. You want to do it in a component fashion. So if your camera is old and you like your cell phone, instead of having to go get a new cell phone simply to get a new camera, you can upgrade a component inside the cell phone. So we've got to be smarter about that. And lastly, make them in a way that are recycled easier. Every time a cell phone should be sold, it should be very clear as to how to recycle it and what to do with it. But again, we're just kind of in the infancy of electronics, believe it or not.
Electronic scraps contain potentially harmful components, such as lead and cadmium. If dumped in landfills rather than getting processed, liquid and atmospheric releases end up in bodies of water, groundwater, soil, and air, and therefore in land and sea animals both domesticated and wild, and crops eaten by both animals and humans, and in drinking water. Electronic waste is a global ecological issue. It raises concern about air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution, information security, and even human exploitation. Air can be polluted when scavengers burn electronic waste to get the copper. If not disposed of properly, toxins from electronic waste can enter the soil and water supplies. As unlike light bulbs, which are engineered to break, much of e-waste contains operational devices, which might contain intact data ready to be exploited after discard. The shortened lifespan of electronic devices, encouraged or designed by manufacturers, have pushed consumers to interpret working electronics as insufficient or unusable.
In my community, we cannot access drinking water or food. In Uganda, the weather has gotten much worse over time. The wet seasons have become so extreme that floods have become very common. The heat has become so extreme that these extreme weather patterns have caused hardships for everyone across Uganda, but it all starts with a farmer. Conveying that farmers haven't been able to produce crops because of the unpredictable and changing weather seasons. Some statistics on how bad it has gotten over the years. This is what I mean if I say that we are in a water crisis. Right now, our animals don't have what to eat or drink because of the lack of water that we are having. Because I can't feed my animals with dirty water. Obviously, I will have to feed them with clean water. But how will I get the clean water? Because I have no access to the clean water and food. So now my animals are all bony because they have nothing to eat.
Will my generation ever get clean and environmentally safe water?
My name is Odetunde Oluwatimileni. I'm 13 years old and I'm in grade 9. My experience with flooding was a very bad day. It was on Sunday. I went to my friend's house. While we were coming back home, we discovered that the whole street was flooded. All of a sudden, I slipped, and while I was trying to remain balanced, I held on to my friend and we both had a nasty fall. That day was a very humiliating day which I can't forget in my life, and I'm pleading with the government in Nigeria to please help us to find a solution to flooding in Nigeria.
Clean water is all my generation needs. But sadly, our time is running out. In Nigeria, the tap water in most houses are completely unsafe for human consumption, leaving most people with no option but pure water, that is water packaged in a plastic bag, and bottled water. These plastics are only 50 to 70 centiliters, but contribute a great deal to pollution in our water bodies, especially our drainages, because research have shown that two-thirds of the plastics in the oceans are plastic bottles, especially plastic water bottles. Clean water is essential for human survival, but my generation needs a rethink when it comes to plastics.
I had spoken to him for 10 minutes without a single reply. His hand movements reduced my skepticism of whether he was following our conversation. Just as I was about to leave this monologue for a more friendly one, soon a friend of his joined us and introduced him as having hearing impairment. With this in mind, I learned that people living with disabilities, most of the time, they want to contribute or rather communicate, but we do not know how to integrate them in our daily lives.
Nafanya kazi ya kuuza maji au paleta ya hii mashine. Sasa hii tunawauzia 5 kwa paleta. Watu wengi sana saa hii hawakumi maji. Wanakutoi maji. Ni lazima wanunue kwa sababu maji ya chumvi ni mbaya sana kwa sababu inaharibu mwili. Lakini saa hii hata magonjwa haziko sana dukani. Usipokunywa maji hata mwili yako itakuwa sawa. Lazima maji. Hata madaktari wanatuambia kila wakati kunywa maji. Kesa kunywa ndogo lita moja maji yanasaidia vizuri na anunue maji.
By 2050, we are set to hit huge environmental repercussions. The demand of water will increase dramatically. 1.5 billion more people on the planet. How will we get enough water to sustain them at that time? We need to figure out solutions now if we are able to have water for everyone by then. And this is why it is crucial for us to use the lessons that I learned. And we have to include everyone into the conversation if we are to solve this water crisis together. We have to remember it is simply not possible to achieve the ambitious sustainable development goals without enhancing efforts of inclusivity. In this case, the water crisis, and coming up with solutions to sustain the future, leaving no one behind.